May 10th, 1920, and died April 8th, 2002. He enhanced more than over 700 theater, ballet, and opera productions in Europe and the United States, with his unique vision and technical and his technical designs. Um, what is it? He created the first stage production in 1943, and was like the founder of like scenographer and like the whole saying of scenography. Um, The importance of Joseph Svoboda in the history of the world scenography is crucial. He was a scenographer, a term he himself like emphasized and kind of like started off. He was like one of the like leading founders of like scenography and was a big part of the theater world. Um, he like developed the word scenography and sonographer, and he contributed to many fields of supporting projects in architectures and technologies. So for his education, he began his training as an architect at the Central School of Housing in Prague. And then after that, at the end of the World War II, he became interested in theater and design and began studying scenography at the Prague Conservatory and Architecture Academy of Applied Arts. Some of the awards he won during his time of in as a stenographer. He won the Sikkens Prize, which is the Netherlands' oldest independent art prizes. It is awarded once every few years to individuals or institutions that are considered to have made a special contribution to the field of color. He then won another one called the Ordre des Arts et des Lettres. It's the purpose is the recognition of significant contributions to the arts and literature. And he also won another one, which was the Legion of Honor, which was the highest French order of merit for a civilian. And then he also won another one called the Narodny Umelek, which was granted by the state of Czechoslovakia artists whose artistic work was to enrich national culture. So he was really well known throughout many of the countries, even in his hometown, uh, the Czech Republic. His style completely broke away from the traditional set design with his static decors, which imitate reality. He used unorthodox materials and abstract constructions with advanced techniques. He applied photographic and film projection and used colored spotlights to create an atmosphere. He also created a depth and gave sense of space using ray of light, uh, worked with movable panels and experienced with lights on individual mirrors and planes of rubber. He his art was deeply influenced by scenic innovators who came before him, which some were named Edward Gordon Craig, Dolphy Appia, and Richard Wagner. So some of the challenges. One challenge that was big to him, I saw like a quote that kind of like resonated the whole thing. It was when I sit alone in the theater and gaze into the dark space of its empty stage, I'm frequently seized by fear. This time I won't manage to penetrate it, and I always hope of that this fear will never desert me. Without an unending search by for the key to the secret of creativity, there is no creation. It's necessary always to begin again, and that is beautiful. And for him, a biggest issue in his application of doing theater work and scenography was images. The role of actors in performance cannot be inferior to anything else, and the intensity of light must be high to make actors appear clearly behind the footlights. But super high illumination may cause images to fade out. So he wanted a lot of light and make sure the light was perfect and everything was to the T, so it had no problems at all. So some of his designs, he created designs for more than 700 performances in his own country and in the United States, like I said. And during the later half of the 20th century, he can be found worldwide. And and his work influenced the development of scenography and anticipated the inception of the rapidly expanding field of lighting design. Uh, as he was growing as a scenographer, many people started to latch onto his ideas and what he thought was the right way to doing it. And his lighting innovations led to a shift in the perception of light on stage internationally. So many people took his lighting designs and used it for them. And it wasn't just in the Czech Republic, they used it all through the United States. Some of the two of the productions I saw that were really famous and big from him was one was called the Tristan and Isolde, and that was considered to be his best design. He thought of it as it was his most craziest stage design, and he had to use a lot of projections, a rounded floor, which can be seen right here as a circular floor, and he had to use a lot of panels and creating mysterious shadows and illusions. And the other one was called the Rheingold, and it was more close and using a lot of flames, trees, a lot more outdoorsy stuff. So his favorite was more of the Tristan Isol, while the other one was he was really famous for it, but it wasn't his favorite. And why I chose Joseph Svoboda is he had a really big impact in the theater world and was able to influence many people during his time. And I know when he died, a lot of people kind of like lived his projects all over again, and now people are doing the projects that he used to do a long time ago in his name and his honor. And he's like a really big icon in image in not just the Czech Republic, but in like the theater world. So I chose him because he was a big influential piece into theater, and I didn't really know a lot about theater. So when I started looking up things about theater, he was like one of the first people to pop up. So I was like, oh. So I got really intrigued with him in the very beginning, and then my aha moment, my research, I actually found out that I saw some of his pieces, like the Tristan on Isolde, like his favorite piece. I actually learned about it in a theater acting class I took in high school, and we had to actually analyze it and take pieces from the actors that were acting and try to mimic that. So it was kind of cool how it came like in a full circle where I was learning about him in high school and then now I'm presenting about him. So that that's it.
Okay, great. So any comments? Guys, did you know about Joseph Svoboda? Did you hear before about his work and importance? Yes, no? Any responses? Um, well, let me remind you, in the lecture on the action design, I was mentioning him because he's a um, crucial in discovering the idea that the set design can follow the emotions of the scene by scene or sequencing. And so he created design that is not just like standstill formation, but throughout the scene, it was responding, getting closer to the audience, moving. There were pieces that are moving in front of the audience, not in the dark like a scene change, but as a part of the action. So, therefore, the action design. Um, Ben stressed out a number of times the importance of Joseph Svoboda and the fact that also he's the creator of the term scenographer or scenography. So without him, what we have today as the idea of what the theater design is would not exist. So he's really huge, created a huge impact on the second part of the 20th century design worldwide. That is why some of you were mentioning there is a Prague quadrennial, which is every 4 years. There's a biggest gathering of the theater designers in the world. It's like globally the biggest event, and where you have all the theater designers coming together and sharing its huge exhibition, and with the symposium and lectures, and it really changed what the design in the world is. Especially European Union created like interesting programs where you enroll, say, in stage design or costume design or light design program in, say, in London, in Royal Academy of Arts, and then you spend 1 year as a part of your program somewhere abroad at the place of your choosing. With Svoboda, the design became more of an art expression than just a decoration. I love that, Ben, what you said about it. Like he really dismissed this traditional idea that we decorated the surrounding to create an environment, but respond to the play and then create the very specific sites that are reacting to the mood, to the emotions, to the action, and all of that. Okay, I just really want you to know and understand the significance of Joseph Svoboda. No wonder that you had in high school a reference, or the theater class where you were discussing his work. He's really, really well known all over the world. So that being said, do we have anybody else today to do the Pecha Kucha that's here? Yes, no?
Yeah, mine is today.
Yes, that's what I thought. So are you ready, Jillian?
Yes, I can get next.
Okay, so you have Ming-Cho Lee, right?
Yes, I do. So sharing.
As we're waiting, Benjamin, I just have one question. Why did you have like 10 slides instead of 20, which is a format for Pecha Kucha? Ben, are you there? Unmute yourself. Okay.
Okay, I'll just go. Okay. All right, so I'm going to be presenting on Ming-Cho Lee, and my name is Jillian Nunez. All right, so to begin, Ming-Cho Lee was born on October 30th in 1930 and recently passed on October 23rd, 2020, nearly being 90 years old. And he was well known for being a very successful Chinese-American theatrical set designer. He was born in Shanghai, China, and he moved to the US in 1949 to attend college here after being denied at the University of Hong Kong due to his poor English skills. When he got to the US, he enrolled at Occidental College in Los Angeles and majored in art so that he wouldn't have too many English courses in order to to get his major or to get his degree. He switched to speech after deciding that theater was his passion, and his first scene design was for a 1951 student production of The Silver Whistle. So after he received his bachelor's degree in 1953 from Occidental College, he continued to design as a graduate student at UCLA. He married in 1958 to Elizabeth, also known as Betsy Rappert Lee, and they had 3 boys, Richard, Christopher, and David. So he is a very successful awarded designer. He was inducted into the American Theater Hall of Fame in 1998, awarded the National Medal of Arts in 2002, and won the Obie Award for Sustained Excellence in 1995, just to name some. To continue his awards, he also won the Tony Award in 1983 for the play K2 and the Lifetime Achievement Tony Award in 2013. So he brought the use of pipings, railings, and set pieces, which localized each scene without it becoming realistic. His abstract use of color and structure created environments rather than backgrounds. And in later years, he moved from more of a visual statement to a text-based approach. However, his challenges, he admits to having some terrible Broadway careers, saying that he's had more Broadway flops than anyone in the history of the theater. He first worked on Broadway as a second assistant set designer on The Most Happy Fella in 1956, and he became his own scenic director, beginning with The Moon Besieged in 1962. And he went on to design sets for over 20 Broadway shows, including The Glass Menagerie, Mother Courage and Her Children, and King Lear. However, his most notable designs were the Shadow Box and K2, for example, winning him the 1983 Tony Award for the Best Set Design. His resemblance for the crevice of ice on the face of one of the world's largest mountains was impeccable, and this idea was brought to life simply by using sculpted styrofoam covered with layers of tissue, paint, and glue. He also designed sets for opera, including 8 productions for the Metropolitan Opera, 13 for the New York City Opera, ballet, and regional theaters as well. It doesn't stop here, though. Unlike other stage designers, Lee's significance was felt in a greater form by using his versatility in designing for a number of different media sources, and his influence was put to use through being the co-chair of the design department at the Yale University, and he began doing this in 1969. He enjoyed teaching so much that he barely ever missed a class, even though it was a great deal of commuting most days. He recalled on his 2 sides of his career as the yin to his yang, stating, teaching forces a teacher to go through life evaluations and self-evaluations. I always remember what I owe to other people who were my mentors. And one of his key contributors that Lee has done was to the annual Lincoln Center gathering, also known as the National Stage Design Portfolio Review. This launched in 1970, but almost ended in the mid-1980s due to lack of funding. However, Lee took it upon himself to save it by inviting other students from other schools to join. He donated $25,000 of his own awarded money to revive the portfolio review. Lee recognized the importance of allowing young designers to showcase their work and be able to meet some of the best designers in the business while doing so. In this way, he has shaped the face of design even more by creating opportunities for others to grow. The my aha moment was when I discovered that the most effective way for sharing his information was to present it in a way that was more of a story. I know that information can be really confusing just pouring it out onto a screen, so this was really helpful to me to just use pictures and then follow more of a storytelling outline to be able to have the most effective information sharing. And that is all.
That was wonderful, Jillian.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for the great presentation. Can you keep your presentation up? I want to share a couple images that I found to be important. It was great that you mentioned that he was working on the environments rather than the backgrounds. Mm-hmm. And that is direct connection to Svoboda, who also was disregarding this idea that you create a pretty picture that's decoration, but everything that's within the space is actually functional and create a visual or symbolic formation, but it's really about the function and how it relates to the text. So that was a great quote that I want to share that you made. It was really wonderful. He's also a significant and important, not just with the ideas that he was developing as a set designer and how influential he was, but also with the development of the idea of collaboration and the scenography, that he's really a successor of the Svoboda. So this is a nice kind of connection today that we had by pure chance, but to see the initiator and then somebody who continued and developed ideas, which is Ming-Chu Lee. So can you go to the slide, the very beginning slide of his designs? There are like two pictures, two images. The model, yeah, there you go. So guys, I want you to look carefully in this these two images, okay? And that is because we will be talking about the deadlines and the full color scale model. And I really want you to recognize few things here. One, how detailed this is in terms of the textures, the colors. Two, that there is always a person, at least one, if not more, you have three on the second slide, that define the scale. Number three, so we have a person, we have the high detailed colors. Please note that there is no white on the edges. That's like my biggest complaint to the full color scale model that they received so far, is that you can see how they're built. The goal is that you create a space that looks as close as possible to the reality, that how it's going to look once when it is built. Number three is you don't see anything else surrounding these spaces, okay? So even the proscenium arch is rather invisible, which means you want to have light inside of your box. So the model is lit with one or more sources. You can see on the left, it's a little bit diffuse light. Seems that it was the primarily frontal light. The model next to it, if you look at the scaffolding, you can see the side light. Side light helps with creating a sense of dimensionality or the depth. So the light is important. So everybody has some light source, like on the desk, or something that you can even, that you can put inside of the box from the top or the front or from the side, and that will create a much better looking environment. So I want to be sure that you guys are understanding where we're heading and why the final full color model is so important, because it really depicts to the highest level of reality and to the fullest extent how the final will look like, and accurate to the scale. So I want you to recognize this, okay? When we look at the floor, this is an important lesson. So Jillian, can you move to the image where you're showing Ming-Chu Lee looking into the model with some students when you're talking about him loving to teach? Okay, so see guys how low he is. Can you see? His eye level is a little bit taller than the floor level. Can you see? It's a little bit higher. So the reason for that is the positioning of the stage versus the audience is always like stage is somewhere here. So the audience is maybe slanted, so you can see a little bit of the floor, but not too much. It's a relationship, like you see 1/5 or 1/4, that's already too much, like 1/5 would be ideal of the floor versus the rest of the top of the height of the set. Do you guys understand this? So when you're taking a picture of your full scale model, please lower the camera down so it's literally laying down on the floor of the model, on the table, so that you can take a nice shot where the floor does not take such an importance, but it's still visible, because we know that we see the floor, especially if you're on the higher, like on a balcony, or like if the seats are like slanted. I mean the raked position of the audience. Okay, is this clear, you guys? Are we learning something?
Yes.
Okay. Jillian, thank you for this. So you can turn off your sharing. As I would like to share a PowerPoint that I already had last week shared with you guys, but I want to go over that and kind of reiterate what I just talked about, and also introduce the fact that I have a little bit concern as related to your final full-scale color models. I received some really great ideas in terms of scenes changes and how you want to do it. But the full color scale model needs to be really done well. One reason is, first of all, there's the really the culmination of all the presentation in set design. And that speak to directors and other designers about the space. And you know, if you create something that is not realistic but looks like a caricature and bring it to the shop, they're going to make that look like whatever it is on the model. So you won't have a chance to create a real world from something that looks like a caricature or a sketch. You see, so it's literally what is there, that's how it's going to look like. So it's not like, oh, this is a depiction of an idea and, you know, we can reimagine the rest. I can give you like a really like crazy example, which is it happened to one of my colleagues, like as a young designer. He did not draw the doorknob on the door, and he did not have a doorknob when the design arrived. And the discussion was like, well, how come that you have a door with no doorknob? How people are going to open it up? Well, you did not have it in your design. So this is like how detailed it has to be. Nothing is assumed. The same thing like with the costume design. If you do not put that there are going to be shoes and what kind of shoes, the costume shop supervisor will assume there are no shoes and the person is barefoot. Okay, so the level of detail is like really, really important in depiction of the model. So I'm going to share, like go with the with you guys again through the ideas of building a set design model. And, you know, they're really valuable resources. And I wish that we have a class where we can have together hands-on and I can demonstrate you and, you know, but it's very much a self-learning, self-motivating kind of deal. And it depends on your level of skill. So I want to say, I won't be grading you on the quality of your skills, because that's something that you cannot develop right away. So I'm grading on the ideas and overall appeal, you know, the understanding of the detailed information that has to be there. So just to release some stress about it, okay? So you can see the level of the details here, right? As we spoke, I mean, I was sharing that before, but this is really important, what I just show you with the Ming-Chi Lee. So how do you take a picture? It's important. Do you have light is important. How much are you revealing? Do we see everything around it? Like, you know, is it like done in your kitchen? Or please do not have that information out. Always have a person. It's always one scene on one page, so that we can clearly see the size of the image is important. And you can see how the light works here because it gives you the sense of the depth. There is a person that's, in this case, three-dimensional, which is wonderful. But you see, guys, the level of the details, it's very important. Everything that you do. So you cannot be as a white model, and please, please cover anything white that's bleeding, you know, if it is a thickness of something, or, you know, the floor, like the paper was not, the image was not like really glued well next to each other, please cover that, because all these like single details are very important, and they're showing really off if it is on the model. Okay, so again, the level of details, look at the right side on your screen, which is the image of the building the process. So how much details are there? Be aware and look around you, like what is that you're doing? Are there moldings? Are there whatever is like around the doors? Heavy details, and then really using the color to accentuate what you want to have. Many of you are using the forest. Guys, I have to remind you, forest is an open space. Think about having in the background the use of cyc. Remember, that's a very functional and theatrical device that gives you the sense of depth and the space. It has the color of the day, nighttime. You can see on both these images, but also think about the details. Think about what is on the stage that can be used and functional. Okay, so it's like the larger image and then the details. So it's here too, to a certain extent, like the bridge and the flowers and so forth. Or in this case, which is a sculptural presentation, you still see how the details are done, really colorful depiction with the fabric hanging and draped, but then some rocks at the bottoms, and then the tree trunk that dominates in the a little bit asymmetrical composition. So think about this, pictorial, think about that, sculptural. What kind of field do you want to create? What style is that you're working on? Stairs are extremely important to understand that they need to be done to scale. And when you look at the riser and the thread, the sum of these parts is 17. So you can have a different distribution, but you have to remember that you cannot go less than 9 inches. 10 inches is ideal, to 12 inches where the foot is going to land. Okay, so this is where the thread is. The riser is the height of the stair, and the stairs have to be uniform. If you have different stair after the other in terms of the height or the width that you step in, that is dangerous. People can fall, so, and it's not to the standard. So you really have to be like cautious with this and understanding that this has to be transferred into the scale world. Some supply tips that were already presented in the guidelines that you might want to look at, how to build or what to use as the materials. And just want to get the feedback from you guys on this. Is this clear? Do you guys understand what the expectations are? It's really taking this in account. You know, the white model is something that is like a sketch, and it represents your ideas, and it's detailed, you know, in terms of like the drawing and stuff. But when you get to the full scale model, you really have to take time. And so I haven't seen many of you guys that took that much time and attention into creating the full scale model. And I'm really concerned because the model takes 40 points within the overall scale for the grading for the final project. And if you fail there, if you say, even if you have half of the points, instead of having A, which comprise of all this like wonderful research and mood boards and the ideas and concepts, everything is there, but then, you know, you're lacking points in the full scale model, the grade instead of A is going to be C. Like, let's say just have half of it. So I just want you to understand that it's really a culmination experience of everything that we did in the class, but to pay attention. And it cannot happen within a couple hours. it won't happen. That's why I have 2 weeks assigned just for the full scale color model. Very few of you guys get to that place. I applaud to those that are very close to finishing their model in terms of the color and everything. But the rest of you guys, you have to take it seriously. So considering that we have few weeks left before our final, which is December 2nd, I'm giving you a chance, an opportunity to still work on this. Those that are ahead of you, that are actually basically on time with what is anticipated as a schedule, you guys rock. You maybe have to address few small things, like, you know, whether the white shows, or are you going to change the angle and add lights and things like that. But the rest of you really need to take this seriously, because today deadline had two components. One was to have like a full color scale model, and the other was a composite floor plan that's done with the ruler. So I would like to share with you guys one of the successful examples, so that you connect maybe better and visually in that way. Let me share this with you. Okay, so see, you here have like, can you guys see? Daniela did a lovely depiction and great shot, and could be even tighter, Daniela, if you want to, of the game shop. Not sure if you want to keep that background of the forest there, because you can change it and have something that's more accurate to the city. I know that you have the research on Ohio, so maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna change it, but I don't have a printer at home, and when I went to go print, I forgot to add the other image, so I wasn't able to, but
Okay.
I will print it out.
But it's really good so far, and it's just like, you know, it's a process. So I want you to look at the edges and kind of color them, so that we don't see that there is a connection. Does that make sense? Like here?
Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, this is just wonderfully done, except for the background. And then we have a scene shift, and this is what happens. And this is really good. Again, you know, edges, even if you just go with the black, like either pencil, like the really dark pencil, or black thinner marker, and, you know, inside and then the side, you just like touch that. But everything else is just so wonderful. And you have the logs, that's just really, really great. So you're that close to be done, okay? The only comment here that I have is it's a safety issue, which is whenever we have an object that is next to the portal, that's a safety issue, okay? Because there is a fire curtain that falls down, and in case of the fire, so you don't want anything to be close to the proscenium opening, at least like 12 inches from it. Ideally, it can go further, but I think if you just like push it a little bit inwards, and even if it is cut with the side of the portal, that's fine, okay? Composite floor plan, that needs to show on the plan. It just needs to be moved upstage slightly. But this is a wonderful example of the composite floor plan. Thank you for doing that with the ruler to scale, writing down what is it. Guys, the class, do you see this? This is a really expectation how it's going to look like. Not to have a thumbnail sketch, which is okay for the initial preliminary sketches that we discuss, and still work with that, okay? And then, I mean, this is all wonderful what you did, the silhouette, the costume, mood board, hair, makeup. This was just, yeah, excellent, okay? So guys, did you see this example? I want to be sure that everybody's understanding. I wrote some emails, emails to some of you with the specific details what you need to be working on. I'll do a couple more because your guys' process is great. You're almost there, and you just need like some refinement. I'll just send you a couple emails. You don't really need to meet with me in that regards. Just for the next stage, which is the orthogonal projection and the front elevation. Okay, so everybody that sent me and did not receive an email, that means I would love to meet with you. Okay. On that topic, I have here a list of students that sign up for this Wednesday. I just want to warn you, this is really your last chance to have an individual meeting via Zoom, because on the 24th, I'm going to the surgery. So for Wednesday, I have lots of open slots. Danielle, are you okay for 9 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay. Lisa is 9:30 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Laurel is 10. Jess is 10:30. Chantel is 12:30. And Gabe is 12:45. The rest of you guys, please sign up. It's still, there's an email, so please send me your responses to help you with whatever that you need to be helped with. Okay, so talking about the full color scale model, obviously, if we are moving the deadlines, which was today, we are looking into pushing it forward. One deadline that I'm not willing to sacrifice anymore in terms of like flexibility was or is today paper on Romeo and Juliet, a review. So those that sent me like a couple weeks ago, awesome. I received a couple this weekend. The rest of you that did not finish the review, please send it, but you will be graded on 10 points less, even though that it's late. It's 10% of the grade. It's important to have it done. Okay, so whether you send it in 2 days or you send it in 2 weeks, it's the same 10 points less. Okay, is this clear? Guys, I need to hear feedback.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Isabella. So let's move to the next item, which is to the topic for today that I would like to address. And it's a front elevation. Okay, so let's see, the front elevation. Guys, there's a video, and I'll put the zoom out. I just want to be sure that you understand the concept. So the front elevation is literally what you see in the front on the eye level, like a little bit higher than the floor. So sometimes you see the floor, sometimes you don't, like in these cases. What is really important is it's to scale the opening, the height, and the width is the opening of your proscenium arch. The person is inside to suggest the scale, and this is a little bit more colorful depiction. If you want to go that direction, that's fine, but it's important that there is no perspective and no depth in it. This is like a really fast way of doing it, just to understand what is that you see, because we don't see the depth. So if you have like a cell foil or anything like a plastic transparent, and you keep your eye level a little bit above the floor, and then you trace it down, and then you rework it with your ruler, you get something like this. But preferably, this is the idea that you're heading forward. Whether you have the value or the color, it's not that important right now. What is important is that it's done with the ruler and that the people are in there and that we see the scale, and that the frame is actually the size of the proscenium arch opening. I don't recommend writing. It's not necessary. You can see here it's done without it, and it's perfectly clear. So using a marker, just like outlining where is the proscenium opening, and then fixing the lines. And you see my camera was higher than my eye level, and my eye level is even higher than camera because I cannot lay down. So, but even if it is crooked like that, it gives you like some sense of dimension. This is more of an exercise of how to do the foreshortening, or how to depict the depth without really using a perspective as a tool, or how to depict the height. So the front elevation is the idea from the orthographic projection, which is the front view of an object. In this case, the object is the whole set. Alisa might have, and Chantel may have a little bit trouble, so to speak, but we already talked about it. So Chantel will have things overlap because she uses the truss range, which is like right there, a huge plus in the way that you're thinking about the space. And Alisa, you will choose one angle and depict just so that it's fair to you. So each of you guys will have like two front elevations depicting what is in the front that you see of the opening of the stage, okay? For one scene. So 2 scenes, 2 front elevations total. Is this clear? Okay, so I just want to remind you, please choose an object that you will draw. So you can, even though if you're not finished with the full scale color model, you can work on the drafting of an object, of the prop that you have in the space. And it's up to you to choose what is it. Is it a chair? Is it a table? Is it a counter desk? Is it a shelf? I want to not to make it really hard on you. I mean, if this is like a professional production, you would have to work on every single prop piece, especially those that are built, or every single, like, door, or we're not going to do that. So just, in the same way that you did your bed depiction, just choose one object and address some details. This is a reminder, week 6 is when we were doing orthographic projection. So you need to look at, what you received as a response to your assignment, as well what is that you learned. So apply that. This one takes so much time. I think if it takes like 2 hours at the tops, it depends, how fast you are. It could be 3, but it should not take that long, especially if you know what is that you're doing. My suggestion is try to do like a really fast sketch with like a thumbnail, a freehand, to know what you see, so that you understand what is that you're doing. Okay, so so that's being said, those are 2 things that we need to address as the last things that the model and presentation for the final will be about. The full scale model actually needs to be done to be able to create a front elevation. You don't need to use the clear plastic or gel or whatever to draw it with that. This is just a way of sketching faster, or just like double checking what is that you see. Do you see it correct? Is it to proportions? Because this gives you just the anchor points, how it can be done. Guys, does this make sense? Any questions, please? Any questions? No questions. So let's see what I have. I want to discuss with you now a little bit about our final. So I don't want to keep you in suspense. I mean, I know initially we had 23rd and 30th as the dates for starting your final oral presentation, because according to the guidelines, online classes should be done either before Thanksgiving or, you know, the last class on the 30th. But I decided to actually give you more time to fully realize the model and prepare everything that you need to prepare. So literally the final deadline to submit all the DJs, which is summaries, all the projects, final project, Pecha Kucha, all of that in DJ format, as well as your oral presentation, is December 1st by midnight, which is a day before the final. Think of November 30th as your study day. We won't have the Zoom class on that day. I will respond to the emails. I'm having surgery on the 24th. So it might be a little bit delayed because it's an eye surgery. So I don't know how my eye is going to behave, and am I going to be like able to see and look at things right away. But I want to be sure that you guys have enough time to work on what is left and do it successfully. I think we did really well in the class, but my concern is that some of you are forgetting what you learn, and this is a refresher. So, you know, how does the floor plan get done? What is that's necessary to have in the floor plan as an information? Is there like a central line on your floor plan? How do you do the composite plan? Those things you need to kind of refresh, the orthogonal projection too. And then you have to prepare for your final presentation. Because it's a large class and we cannot do it in one session, and with the extension of the deadlines for you guys to be able to fully finish and successfully your final, I decided that the best way, or the compromise, so to speak, would be if you record your presentation either with your smartphone, literally, you know, recording the screen and talking as you're recording, following the guidelines, what needs to be presented. In today's lecture, even though that's a little bit ahead of time, it's like 2 and something half weeks ahead, there are guidelines what you need to prepare. It's about 15 slides total, presentation not longer than 5 minutes. If it is shorter and you cover everything within that time, that's fine. You can have your video posted on any of the media, like a YouTube or Vimeo or OneDrive or anything. Just send me the link so I can view it and grade it based on your presentation. It's a smaller version of the Pecha Kucha. You guys did it really well. So you want to think about, 15 slides, 3 sentences each. And then, how are you going to organize your slides? It's up to you. I gave you like instructions or the guidelines, but you can rearrange if you want to. I mean, to me, the most logical is to start with research, but maybe you start with the concept and follow the research. But, it's up to you, as long as you're covering all the areas that need to be covered. The other option, there are a number of different apps that you can use on your home computer that you can record the presentation as well as you talking. And it's like a screensaver, but for the video. And I included one link, which is a free app, and you can actually do it that way, which might be a cleaner and faster way, because you don't want to be holding your phone that's shaking unless, phone is on some sort of like a tripod and then it's, solid. So I want you to think about that and kind of prepare for your final presentation. The class that's final, which is December 2nd, I would like to keep it as a get-together and discussion on what we accomplished, what could be done better, things like that. After our past December 1st midnight, there is no extension for submitting the work. Please take this to your heart. No extensions. I think I was very flexible and understanding of the fact that we are living under lots of stress and we don't have like a situation that is, you know, normal to work with. I mean, if I even start from myself, I have to work in my studio and prepare every class versus working from the studio at the school where I have all these models and samples and examples that I can share. Well, I don't have that in front of me, and I'm trying to figure out the best way under these circumstances to help you understand the materials. In the same way, I understand you guys. I mean, it's, you know, hard going to the store and just being exposed to the stress, like in fear, not to mention that. So I hope that you understand where I'm coming from and that I'm trying to give you many chances, but it's really, it boils down to, we have 2 weeks left, that's it, end of story. What is this going to happen within that? Please take to your heart and do it the best in your abilities, okay? All the pechacuchas were wonderful. You guys were submitting the work. I really think that one-on-one interaction is really important and was helping each person individually for their work to be developed more. I hope you share the same understanding or sentiment. So in any case, please, questions. I would like to hear from you guys. Or comments. Anyone?
I was going to bring up that I have my the Pecha Kucha today as well.
Is that Daniel?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, Daniel. We're going to do it. We have plenty of time. Okay. You were a little bit late, so I do not know if you're ready or not. Awesome. We'll do that the next. Any other comments or questions?
I have a quick question. I know for my project, you said to try to eliminate as many like white spots as possible. Do you have any tips on how I can make it even better for my project? Because I think that's one of the biggest things I struggled with.
It's really hard, you know, when you don't have that kind of like experience and skills. That's very hard, and I understand what's happening. So please use either like very dark black pencil or even Sharpie, but that might affect like the results. So in your case, I gave you an option. I said either use charcoal or a soft black pastel and go over the whole surface. You have to darken it anyways. So you can make, you know, these transitional parts actually covered that way, or blending in rather. Does that make sense? Is it helping you? You understand, right? So, you know, for example, for the seats, you can just go inside with a black marker and just blacken it. So we'll just see the outside of the seats, right? But anything that connects and it's still like leaking the white, go with something that's more of a grayish tone that will cover it. So it's not like such a strong contrast, okay? Because we might not see it really when we look up close, but when you take a photo of that, it becomes very visible against, you know, everything black, and it's disturbing because it proposed there is like a line that's white in the midst of this composition, okay? So, yeah. And if you have more questions, I mean, we can meet, but I think I gave you pretty elaborate detail, like what to do, okay? If something is not clear, we'll still meet. Did you sign up? Yes, you did. We can do that on Wednesday. Okay, any other questions or thoughts?
I also have my Pecha Kucha ready for today. I didn't want to like interject after the second one when you were presenting in class.
Okay, Gabe. Yeah, well, I was asking, who has it. So why don't we move then to Pecha Kuchas? Okay, so guys, remember to sign up to meet with me on Wednesday. And let's have Daniel and then Gabe. Okay, so guys, set up your, Daniel, set up your screen first.
All right.
And do we have any other questions or concerns?
I do have my Pecha Kucha as well today.
Okay, who is that?
Francesca.
Oh, Francesca. I'm afraid we won't be able to do it today. Why don't you do it on the 23rd?
All right.
Okay. Yeah, you also came in late.
Yes.
So you guys, yes, somebody's talking. Okay, Daniel, are you going to do it?
Yeah, is
You're
my
ready.
screen on?
Good. Okay. Yes, you're on.
Good. All right. All right. So I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce his last name. George.
Oh, it's so hard. It's like Supin or something. Saipan. I don't even know. It's very
okay.
hard.
So I'll just refer to him as George throughout the presentation.
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. So George was born on December 31st, 1954. He is currently 65 years old. He's an American stage designer, sculptor, and architect. George was born in Kazakhstan. He has worked in all major theaters in the United States, including film and television. He lives in New York with his wife. I think it's Galina. He has two daughters named Allie and Sonia. George graduated from Moscow Institute of Architecture in 1977, studying architecture. In 1984, he graduated in set design from New York University. He has won many awards, such as the International Competition of New and Spontaneous Ideas for the Theater for Future Generations at Georges Pompidou Center in Paris. He won the Obie Award for Sustained Excellence of Set Design in 1990. He won the Outer Critics Circle Award for Outstanding Set Design in 2012 on the Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. He also won a Tony Award for Best Scenic Design in Spider-Man. George has also won the Drama Desk Award for Outstanding Set Design for a musical in the 2008 The Little Mermaid production. He was an artistic director, production designer, and co-author for the script for the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games in Sochi in 2014. And he was nominated for an Emmy Award for his work. George has a very complex style. His style really brings to light because his knowledge in architecture. His style adds intensity to his play. His set style is very multidimensional. He describes his style including vivid colors, dilapidated walls, like walls that look like they're crumbling or decaying. He also likes slanted roofs and skylights and precariously hanging fire escapes. George was apprehensive when he first read the script of Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. His challenge was to make Broadway audience feel the same thrill without Hollywood's green screens and special effects. He wanted to make it as close as to the movie as possible. He has a unique form of architecture for design. He creates visions of towering gods, underwater kingdoms, skyscraping towers, and earthbound angels. He clearly is very imaginative and creative with the use of dazzling lights, shining surfaces, and strange angles. George has worked in all major theaters. His first personal gallery show of his sculpture took place in 1991 at Twinning Gallery in New York. He created the Planet Earth Gallery, one of the Millennium Projects in England. His designs for opera have been produced all over the world, including Salzburg Festival, Opera de Bastille in Paris, and many more. George's Broadway debut as a set designer for a musical was Disney's theatrical production of The Little Mermaid at the Lunt-Fontanne Theater. He designed the set for the new musical Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, for where he won the Outer Critics Award and received the Tony Award once again. His style is well known for tying in nonfiction to reality. This caused him to be nominated to receive numerous awards. One of his well-known projects is I'm on this side. So one of his most well-known projects is a sea glass carousel at the Battery Conservatory. George created a mystical underwater experience. The aquatic adventure displays color-changing LED lighting combined with water effect light projectors. All right. And then this picture is the 1999 MTV Music Video Awards. He was asked to design the set at Metropolitan Opera House. He imagined New York as the Tower of Babel on its side. He designed using the head of the Statue of Liberty and some skyscrapers. George has a book called Invisible City, which was published in October 18th of 2016. In his book, he embarked an imaginary journey to exotic cities, only to realize that he's never left. And each metropolis is an invisible city. It's a version of New York City. Another iconic performance is the West Side Story. In this set by George, his sets are scrims of New York tenements and decorated with 1970s graffiti. All right, and then he catches my attention and will be remembered for his creative use of colors and architecture. This is no surprise why he's chosen to create elaborate shows and ceremonies. His work draws viewer attention and creates a memorable experience. And then my aha moment was finding a well-rounded outlet of sources that provided me with different information that others may not have included. This allowed me to get the most information that I possibly could. All right, and that's it.
Okay, this is great. Gabe, can you share your slide? And I'm going to comment a little bit on what Daniel had shared. You had a great selection of things. I know that Woody Allen is not at the mercy of the public eye anymore, but George Supin actually did almost all the movies that Woody Allen had. So he has credits to the movie production design movies as well. And I guys want you to kind of just recollect the images, how he designed the Spider-Man. That is very expressionistic way to do it. Like the expressionistic movie from the turn of the century called Metropolis. So he's using different resources and references, even though that he's making these super complex sets influenced by his knowledge in architecture and structure, building the structures. But each time the design, he's also referencing different style of set designs or different art periods. So this was good presentation. Okay, thank you, Daniel. Gabe, you're the next.
All right, so my set designer was Alphonse Flores. I believe that's how you say it.
Yes.
He was born in 1957 near Barcelona in Spain. He became a set designer in 1978 at the age of 21, living in Barcelona, where he founded or co-founded the GAT Theater Group, where they mainly design sets for theaters, opera productions, and urban set design and large events. One of the examples is the Sydney Opera House, where he has designs and portrayed opera and plays and all that. Unfortunately, I wasn't really able to find any sort of education on him. There was definitely a lack of information trying to find any really background on him. So I've had to admit that. He did win awards. He was recognized winning the Barcelonian Critics Theater Award 3 times. From one time in 1996 for the Head of the Dragon in 1998 and in 2009. And in 2000, he also received the Irish Times Theatre Award for the best set design for barbaric comedies. So his main style is basically just portraying set designs in opera productions, theater productions, large major events. An example is the Millennium's End celebration. And he also has a very eerie style. It mainly focuses around dark sets, very open-ended areas. It's very dystopian kind of vibes. It's very just dark, grotesque, eerie, and one example is Frankenstein. So his sets are very just like very open. That's what I found. They're very dark. There's not that much light involved with them. They're very open in terms of people being spread out, 1 to 2 actors portrayed in each one. And it is just a crazy amount of light that goes into it. It's very dark. The light's very centered in specific spots. An example is Frankenstein, as I said. It was a production that occurred in March of 2019. It kind of like depicts a futuristic take on Frankenstein. Again, very dystopian views. And it was an opera production that is mainly centered around this like circular stage, which I found really interesting and definitely very unique because it was something that I hadn't seen before. It was kind of represented by an anatomical theater. So the theater was constantly changing. The sets were constantly changing. The characters were kind of like coming in, coming there. And it was kind of like a concentric arrangement. And then as you can see, here is an example. So he currently is working on new operas and musical productions that will be displayed in Barcelona, London, Frankfurt, Dusseldorf, and Torino. And one of the productions that really caught my eye was the La Boheme production in 2016, which is this one right here. What caught my eyes, again, just like the use of light and the openness of the stage. It was very interesting because you don't, like, I feel like a lot of productions that I have like either looked at or witnessed have been very closed and close in general. There's just like an overflow of people and not much openness in the actual stage itself, but he's very like minimalistic in his views and what he's trying to portray. And I really enjoyed that. The aha moment is, again, this is what caught my eye when I was first going through all of the stage. Sorry. Going through like all the stage designs and everything. This was one that really caught my eye. Just because it gave me like a big city vibes and definitely something that you don't really see. Sorry. Something that you don't really see very often. And I really liked just the general portrayal and the modernistic vibes that he kind of shows off. These are 2 examples of something else that really caught my eye. Just, again, very minimalistic. He kind of just portrays like a big picture in a small way. So as you can see, the 1-to-1 with a massive background. And then here again, this is from Frankenstein, which was just a crazy design in itself. And these are all of his different designs and sets. They're all relatively similar in the sense that they're very, very, very large, and everyone is very small in a scale kind of way. And again, there was not that much information on him, but his designs and what he's doing is just amazing. I thought it was really cool the way that he's kind of incorporating the light and just making the set larger than the people and kind of over exemplifying the set compared to the people. So it really shows you that the designs are more important than, or not more important, but they're kind of like giving you a different view and showing like I guess, the importance of the design compared to the actors. And then that's it.
Okay, so why did you choose him specifically? How did you arrive to?
Well, I was going through a number of different set designers, and then I saw, I think it was this right here and La Boheme, which is right here, and just the background itself really caught my eye. I hadn't really seen any sets that were so large, and they didn't really portray the actors that much. It was just kind of like the set was there, and it was just like an insane view with just a different outlook. It just looked a lot different than what I'm accustomed to, and it really caught my eye and got me really interested in looking at his stuff.
This was wonderful, Gabe, especially this layout of different designs so that we can compare and contrast, and your understanding of what the similarities. And this goes to everybody in the class. Guys, take this as a great example on the full use of stage. What you were saying, Gabe, that you were mentioning different terms like action design, which is like movable parts and responding to the scene. You use the full use of the stage, the height, the width, and very minimalist approach. And I want you guys to take this to your heart and contemplate and see, you know, as you're developing your designs, think about how one interior can shift into something this is like large scale open space, which would be a forest or whatever that you do, because it has its merit. And this is important to understand how you can fully use the whole space instead of just like, you know, cramming it with the flats that are very close to the proscenium opening. So this was well done. Thank you, Gabe.